The amount of time it takes to take the first statistics test is approximately normally distributed with a mean of 60 and a standard deviation of 4. What percentage of students take more than 70? Well, the assumption on the AP exam will be that you will use your calculator to do these calculations. So I just want to first begin by showing you the work. If this were a free response, the work that would be expected. Okay. First thing you're going to do is you're going to draw a little normal curve. And next to it, you're going to make a note that it's normal. You can just use an N. And it has a mean of 60 with a deviation of 4. That is the notation for a normal curve, mean and standard deviation. And then you're going to mark in what you're looking for. So I'm going to put just a mark here at 70, and I'm looking for more than. So I can just do that. Now, this is super, super cool. Normally you'd think, okay, so I'd calculate the z statistic, 70 minus 60 divided by 4, and then I could use my calculator to get the proportion. It's even easier than that. If you go to normal CDF on your calculator, remember you press second and then vars. So again, if you've forgotten where that is, the second button is here and then vars is right in here. Okay, second vars. Normal CDF. If you have the TI-84, this is a fill in the blank. Lower bound is 70, upper bound is 1e to the 99th, mean and standard deviation. If you have got the 83, you're just going to have to remember to add those at the end. You don't get the fill in the blank nice thing. You actually have to remember the order that it goes lower bound, upper bound, mean, standard deviation. They actually look the same. It's just that on the 84, they give you a guide to fill in the blank, and on the 83, you have to remember. But this is your proportion. Of course, it would be 0.62%, since that's what it asked. All right, the next question takes less than 50. So we draw our picture. It's normal. Mean is 60. Deviation is 4. Let's put 50 right here, and we're looking for less than. So shade the less than. And again, I'm going to drag in my work right there. So you'll notice that the upper bound is now 50. The lower bound is negative 1e to the 99, so a very negative number. Mean and deviation did not change. Okay, and I'm going to put that 0.62 since it was a percent. If it asked for proportion, you would just, of course, leave it. All right, between 55 and 65. So let's draw the curve. Normal. And I know it seems a little tedious to do this, but let's get in I would get in the habit, because you are going to have to do it every time on the AP exam and on work in here. So we're looking for between 55 and 65. So we're looking for this like that. So those are going to be your lower and upper bound. So there. So you're 78.87%. Finally, if Greg is done before 25% of the class, how long did Greg take? So let's draw our curve. Whenever you deal with time, it's a little tricky to draw these. Okay. So if Greg was done before 25%, I would think, okay, so 25% finish after Greg. So Greg's going to be up here. He took longer than the average, because if he were at the average, half of the students would have finished after him. But in this case, only 25% did. So we put an X. I'm kind of running out of room. Put the X, and you draw an arrow and signify that there's 0.25 up there. Now remember, the calculator always wants percentage below, so of course that will be 0.75. So let me drag in what you'll see or what you'll type. So Greg took 62.7 minutes. So takeaway from this, remember to always draw your curve. Okay, remember to always draw the curve, and remember to the format here. Get in the habit of practicing typing this in. Let's do one more example. In this example, we say the weekly amount of money spent on maintenance and repairs by a company is approximately normal with a mean of 400, standard deviation of 20. Okay, so the first question, if $450 is budgeted for repairs, what percentage of weeks will exceed the budget? So let's draw. Like always, our work here is to say, well, it's approximately normal with a mean of 400 and a standard deviation of 20. And we're wondering what percentage is above 450. Okay, so do my best to fit that in shade. And again, once you have that work, use your calculator. So I'm going to drag this in. Here's my normal CDF. You can see I did my lower bound was 450. The shading really helps you get your bounds. And you're going up, so 1E99. Mean, standard deviation, and there it is. So 0.62%. What percentage of weeks will you spend less than 410? So let me draw my curve. Yeah. Okay. So normal. I'm going to change the width here of my pen. Maybe you can draw these a little bit better. So 410 will be in here. Oh, I forgot the 1. 410. Less than that. So under that. So now, of course, we're shading down. Let me drag in my calculator screenshot. And you can see my lower bound was -1. With all that, so it's a very negative number. 410 is the upper bound, 400, and it cut off, but it is a 20 there. So 0.691. So 69% of the time we'll spend less than $410. A certain week, the company spends more money than 20% of weeks. Okay, so let's draw our picture. Normal, 400, 20. And we're spending more than 20% of weeks. So it's below average here because the average, again, would be you spent more than half the weeks. So only 20%. So we're wondering what this value is that has 20%. I'm going to put it as a proportion, 0.2 below. So let me drag that in. This is an inverse norm problem. And remember, the first thing we write is the area and then the mean, standard deviation. So you can see that week we must have spent $383. Finally, the company wants to create an interval that gives them an idea of what will be spent 90% of the time. All right, so let's draw this. Again, normal, 400, 20. So what we want to do is we want to figure out what values, I'm going to just label them X1 and X2 here, would encapsulate 90% or a proportion of 0.9 inside. So maybe it's just a little more work. You got to think that there's 5% then, or 0.05 outside. So what I could do is I could do an inverse norm on this situation with 0.05 below, and that would give me the lower X. And I could do another inverse norm with 0.95 below, 95%, and that would give me the top. So here's cutting off the 5% on the bottom. This one cuts off the 5% on the top, and that will give me the middle 90%. Okay? So between $367 and $433.